For the first 6 months after my father died, I'd say to the opera singer, "My dad is dead." She would pat me on the leg and say, "Yes, it's so sad." I'd lean my head against her, breathe into the loss, then, just as quickly, continue on with whatever it was I had been doing. The patting, the leaning, it was a very animal, sensate thing to do, and it helped me get it in my body, metabolize the shock of loss. When your parent dies, when a beloved dies, you are racked with guilt and what-ifs. I don't care if you are a Jungian analyst who seems entirely together or someone who has never done any therapy. Death makes you feel regret. But the opera singer stopped me from doing this, reminded me again and again how dangerous it was to entertain regret, let alone invite it in and cook at dinner. She'd shake her head, call me her pet name, and tell me not to start. Gently, kindly, but fierce too, because she knew the dark places my mind could take me. It was a good lesson I've carried forward. My mom died 8 months ago, and the brain, it wants to wander into the weeds of persecution. Mostly now I'm good at stopping myself, especially when it comes to wondering and worrying about the choices I made for her care, the decision to keep managing things, because I had to, honestly, rather than simply sit on the couch and join her in her ennui and confusion. But one thing nags at me so. For as long as I can remember, my mother used handy wipes to clean the counter and wash dishes, unless caked-on, baked-on bits covered the dish, in which case a Lola brush would be employed. My sisters, my partner, we all hated the damn handy wipes. They smelled, they required changing often, they seemed to just smear water across the counter rather than really clean it, and their relative skimpiness made cleaning challenging for all but the most transient of food scraps. Still, my mother had likely cleaned her kitchen with handy wipes since the 1970s. I never remember a kitchen without them, but when we moved her to assisted living, we didn't bring them, even though my parents' pantry overflowed with the blue and white striped cloths. Thanks to my father's little Costco addiction, my parents had enough handy wipes, Comet 409, and Ziploc bags to last through the zombie apocalypse. But we sold all those items in the estate sale. Partly, I think, because my mom was supposed to eat her meals in the assisted living dining room, and partly because we were snarky kids who thought we knew better. After the move, I put a nice blue Ocello sponge on the top left edge of the sink. A sponge you could microwave to kill germs. A sponge with a built-in scrubber. A sponge that held soap. She asked me a couple of times for the handy wipes. Turns out the Clorox company bought the handy wipe company and then discontinued the iconic rags. Suddenly, I felt frantic for the thin, stretchy cloths. I ordered some from Amazon, repository of all things, and when they came, I threw them in the trunk of my mom's car, intending to bring them up to her apartment. But they disappeared into the cavernous back, and tasks like the neurologist, the cardiologist, shopping, and helping her socialize took precedence. It bugged me, though, because they'd been there in the car, and then they weren't. But it didn't bug me enough to reorder them. A few months before she died, I sold the car that she'd given up. I didn't tell her because the not driving felt like such a defeat, such a prison sentence. I just couldn't see traumatizing her more by telling her I'd let the car go for $4,500, which was synchronistically the same as a cost of a month of her care. As I cleaned out the back of the car, I noticed something jammed between the seat and the trunk. The handy wipes. They'd slid between the two compartments when I'd had the seat down. By now, though, it was too late. My mom had stopped going into her kitchen at all, even though the entire apartment was only 550 square feet. Twice a week, I soaked up the soft side of a blue sponge to wash the coffee cups and water glasses that aides filled for her, and used the rough side to scrub the silverware with which she picked at her meals. And when I cleaned out her apartment after she died, I sent the package of handy wipes to Goodwill. Thank you.